Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show.
We just got breaking news in.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Even Your Dynasty show. We are back on a day that we wish you had some better vibes to bring, but the Giants just got swept on their own field by the Miami Marlins, who, despite having a little bit of talent, they've just not been a good team for several years now, and that's a tough pill to swallow. That's what, a 3-6 homestand, and they wrap up the first half. They are now 7 games over 500 at the end of the first half. So we're definitely going to talk a bit about the series. We're going to talk a bit about the, kind of where the Giants stand right now. And I know, like, for me, I'm going to try and keep it objective and be like, okay, here's what we had expectations before the year. Here's where they're at. But it's a little tough to do given the start they had. And we'll also kind of take a look at, some moves that they, or I guess question whether or not they might shake up the team even more, given the way they're playing currently and the way the offense is performing in particular. So, yeah, what's going on, Dan?
What's up, brother? Good to see you. I wish we were able to chat after a sweep and not after getting swept. So, yes, Mocha League, you can express and, air all of your grievances. This is a safe place for Giants fans. So whatever you guys need to vent about, we're here for you.
This is always a good place to air grievances.
Yeah, exactly. What's up, Mark? What's up, Daniel?
So sometimes we do it. Every now and then you guys get blessed with one of our rants, and it gets a little heated, and it's a fun time. So
yeah, but no. First series, the Giants have been swept at home, and it comes against the Marlins. So, yeah, we're going to dive into a lot, but giving up 12 runs to Miami today is just absurd. So, yeah, we got a lot to unpack. Not the best series, but there's a little bit of good news we can talk about. A couple guys heating up. Casey's good to go. Little things like that we can kind of be optimistic about. But yeah, we'll dive into a lot more stuff. But all in all, I wish we can be super happy and jolly and positive, but unfortunately, we're a little pissed off, and rightfully so. So,
yeah, and really, there's a lot of issues going on with this team. They've managed to, they've managed to withstand a lot of negatives this season, where they've still managed to play, winning baseball on the whole. For a long time there, we've looked at, they had an 8-1 start, and since then they're 500, and it's tough to swallow because really a lot of that damage just got done in this last 12 games, where they're, I think, 4 games under 500 in that stretch. But the reality is they've dealt with a lot of underperformance, especially on the offensive side. A lack of production out of guys like Justin Verlander, lack of production out of, several other starting pitchers early in the year, guys like Jordan Hicks. That's not to say they haven't gotten good production out of a lot of guys. Logan Webb and Robbie Ray have been awesome. Their bullpen has been really good on the entirety of the season. Obviously, they're going to blow some games occasionally. That's kind of how that happens over 162. But and really, I think the biggest thing they've overcome is, you've got a coaching staff that, outside of JP Martinez, I'm not really sure what the hell they're doing to help this team right now, other than building a culture. But you're looking at the offense and everybody's underperforming. So you kind of look at Burl, and they all have just terrible approaches at the plate right now. It's not even just that they're underperforming. It's not like they're having bad luck and it's finding mitts. Like, their at bats are terrible. It genuinely feels like they're just up there trying to either draw a walk or pull something in the air. Today when Christian Koss, hit a BB line drive down the right field line, I about fell out of my chair. It was like, wait, and I think it came right after Kisner kind of, well, not right after, but like a couple innings earlier, Kisner poked one to right. A few of them did that where they just kind of, hit little line drives to right field. And I'm like, oh my God, it's not
Where's this
extinct.
been?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do this. It's just insane that this team can't seem to figure out that, you can still play small ball. You can still do the little things. You can still go with the pitches. You don't, the fact that this team is out there looking like they're trying to hit home runs, it's like, that's not your team. You don't have the, you don't have the weaponry for that kind of ammo. It's like, come on, like, what are we doing here? So they've stood a lot. So I think there's not like a whole overall in the year. I'm not too negative, but the play the last 2 weeks has been just atrocious. But there are some positives. So we'll kind of go through the whole series, the good, the bad. Obviously, it's more bad than good, and kind of the case when you get swept. But there was some good signs, especially over the last series or two.
No, yeah, absolutely. And it just to kind of piggyback off of what you said, I don't know if it's a coaching thing, a philosophy thing, but like you mentioned, not only are the at-bats terrible, it seems like a lot of these games, and I mean, you can look up, I think Bonta Hill posted like the Giants record when they're down after the 8th inning or where they blow like an 8th inning lead. It's like 3-30 or something. And it's like a lot of these times in these games, the Giants are basically beating themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's in various ways, whether it's like you mentioned, their approach at the plate, or whether it's some base running blunders, or whether it's Matt Williams not knowing how to send a runner and setting him at the wrong time, or whether it's defensive miscues. It's like the Giants are realistically beating themselves. Like, the offense hasn't been there. There's been a couple guys hot, and then the rest of the team cold, and then those cold players get hot, and then the other guys, get cold. So they haven't all been clicking, but for the vast majority of these games, it's a lot of them have been winnable. And that's the frustrating part as a fan, because it's like this team is 7 games over 500. They started out super, super hot. They've been a 500 team ever since, late April. And this team could be a lot higher in the standings if they just did the little things right. And that's where a lot of the frustration stems from. So that's where, we'll dive in on a lot of the specifics, but, hopefully what we saw these last couple games, and especially today, out of guys like Willie, out of guys like Rafi, hopefully they can keep that momentum going. And, with Casey being healthy, so, there's a few positives you can take away that'll hopefully get you some momentum going into the break. But it's you're at the middle of the season at this point in time. You gotta correct all these little miscues, because like we've been saying for the last year or two on the show, these games are what matters and counts when you get to the end of the year and you're looking for a playoff position. It's like, if we would have done little things right back in April, May, and June and won those 5, 6, 7 games, we want to be fighting for the second wild card spot. So every game matters. They got to correct a lot of these little miscues, and hopefully, they can start to turn it around here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's, and this is a good point, Marty Martin. Like, you're not going to win without some offense. Like, that's the reality. And when I was on NorCal last night, I was talking with them. It was weird because, obviously the feeling is pretty tense among Giants fans right now. People are seeing this offense consistently not put anything up on the board for the pitching. And, at some point you're watching the pitching going, okay, are you going to just hold it together forever? Or are we going to have a few more games like the last couple days where it's like, today, obviously the pitching staff was terrible, but yesterday, even they had chances and the bullpen just couldn't keep it together quite at the end. Tyler Rogers got tagged for a couple of runs. Then Doval looked like he took a laxative out there with what he did on the mound. I mean, it was pretty bad. And, you can't get too upset at the pitching staff because they're the only reason they're in this position right now. The offense sure as hell hasn't done anything for them. So
did you see that? Did you see that quote that Webb had yesterday? And they interviewed him in the locker room or whatever, where he said something along the lines of like, "Oh, I shouldn't have given up 2 runs." It's like, bro, you know how like disheartening that is to hear out of your ace and your starting pitcher. Like, your offense should be able to withstand you giving up 2 runs in a quality start. It's just yeah.
If Logan Webb goes 6 innings and gives up 2 runs with the bullpen we have,
you should win that every
he
time.
should. Yeah, I was gonna say you should win like 80% of those games at least.
At least,
like maybe 90% realistically. Like, you should be able to hang 3 runs on the board or 4 runs. Like, it's sad. And also Mark's brought up a good point here. Hitters don't take swing out of the bat to make contact. It's all or nothing. I agree. And that would be one of the encouraging things I saw from Adames in the last game or two. We did see him take some swing out. Now, obviously, he did hit a couple balls to the warning track. You could tell he just barely missed both of those. I think the first one was like 95 off the bat. The second one was 96.5. I mean, in the marine layer at night, the second one, it was like perfect launch and everything. He just didn't quite get it. And if he catches that, probably a millimeter more on the barrel, it's 4 rows up, and everyone went home happy last night, and it is what it is. But overall, I mean, especially today, we saw multiple hits with 2 strikes, and the second or his last hit, he put one into right center, with 2 strikes in that at bat as well, but he put one into right center. And I mean, that's something that feels like it's been missing with him. He's just been trying to yank everything. And I don't know if he's
trying to do that.
And I don't know if he gets deterred because of the ballpark. Like, in Milwaukee, he used to drive the ball to the opposite way quite a bit. And, you could get the cheapy home runs in Milwaukee, like, because of their dimensions, and it just carries better. And I wonder with Oracle, he's hit a few balls that have gotten caught or been just like doubles in the gap. And I kind of wonder if he's like trying too hard to hit home runs. Because, I mean, we've seen his extra base hit totals like really plummet in the last month or so. He's not even hitting a bunch of doubles. He's had like 4 home runs, but not a ton of other extra base hits to go with it. So I just kind of wonder if he's like actively trying to yank everything. But anyway, that single to right center where he hit it hard and he went the other way with it, like, that was really encouraging to me. And his swings altogether have looked a lot better. I think the last 15 games he's hitting like 270 or 280 right now. I mean, he's been actually 280. Let's see, Willie. Oh, even better. Last 15
might have gone
games
up today.
Yeah, he's last 15 games. Willie's hitting 315 with 4 home runs and 9. I'm trying to do math. Sorry, people. 931 OPS. So he's been good. He's been heating up in that span. And we're seeing Devers had a big game. He's been drawing some walks. Hopefully he heats up. They really need Lee to get going, like in the worst way. He can be. They don't have table setters on this team. Like, that's the other big issue I'm seeing. I mean, there's issues all over this offense, but you look at the offense as a whole, and they get guys that get on base, but they don't have speed. They have. They don't have guys that are hitting a bunch of extra base hits. They don't have guys, like, they just simply don't have anyone setting the table. And Lee was doing that early on in the year. I mean, yeah, he was hitting third, but he was both being kind of clutch with getting guys in, but he was also setting the table for the guys behind him. Mm-hmm. And they just really are. They haven't been able to fill that void since he cooled off.
Yeah, and it's I don't really know how to describe it. It's like, I've heard some people say, "Oh, the league caught up to Jung-Hoo. They figured him out. Now he's going to adjust to it." But then you kind of dive deeper into his at-bats and his swings and his approach. And it's much the same with the rest of the lineup. He's just trying to pull everything. And when he's swinging hard, like he's going for the fences, he's getting underneath everything. And then when he makes good contact on the barrel, he's getting on top and rolling everything over. Just a ground ball to second base. So I don't know if it's someone where he needs to just make a simple adjustment, whether it's mechanical, whether it's just philosophy as far as the offense is concerned. But yeah, they need him to turn it around in a desperate way. What we saw in April out of Jung-Hoo that's the player that we need. And it's kind of like what I mentioned to you earlier today. It's like, two of your three best hitters are injured, Casey Schmitt and Matt Chapman. The only one that's been solid for you consistently over the last several weeks is Ramos. And then besides that, you have, Rafi, who is struggling since he came over. I think he was hitting like a $167 as a Giant over the last, week and a half. And then you had, Willie, who's, he's been turning it up as a late, but for the vast majority of the season, he's been struggling. And then you're looking at other guys on the roster. I pulled up some numbers. Two of the guys you've kind of been relying on, Mike Yastrzemski, for instance, his last 7 games, he's hitting a $115. Last 30, it's a $196. Then you got Wilmer, who started out incredibly hot, and you're kind of relying on him in those key moments. Last 7 games, he's under 100. He's .095. Last 15, 188. Last 30, 217. He's got 1 home run throughout those whole 30 games. It's like these guys who have been your quote-unquote best hitters of the year, they're getting cold too. So if they're getting cold, in addition to players who've been slumping for months, Lee, Adames, Bailey, you're really, like you said, you don't have any table setters. You're setting yourself up for failure. So I don't know whether they need to do a culture shock and, fire somebody just to try to spark this team and this lineup in general. But someone's got to change because this is not sustainable long term.
Yeah. And to your point about Lee, I know we've talked about this in the group chat, but this is just to share for everybody here. There's absolutely an adjustment for him to make. And it's a pretty simple one. And it's something we've already mentioned on the show a couple times today.
Show the picture.
But that defensive alignment, sorry, I kind of scribbled right over the shortstop who's playing just a hair left of second base because they can't, have 3 people on one side. But right here, what Mark said, Lee's slump coincides with him not hitting to left field.
Absolutely.
That defensive alignment, every team has been doing this to him since probably mid-April or so, mid to late April. If you go back and watch a couple of hits earlier in the year, they had their shortstop positioned, or their third baseman positioned a little bit farther this way. They had the shortstop a little bit here. They had the middle open, and then they had this hole over here was a little bit more open than it is now. And since then, they've basically have shifted it to where he can only really use the middle of the field right here to the right of second base, or he needs to go this way where there is an enormous hole. They have one person covering all this ground here, and he just has not adjusted. And now all of a sudden, all these balls that he hits hard right into this section. And if you're kind of wondering, how frequently does this happen? Here is the, let me switch over to here's all of his batted balls on the year. Look at this. Like, there's a reason why defenses are doing this. He hits everything here. He hits it right up the middle, or he hits it in the air. He's got a 27% line drive rate on the season, or line drive percentage. So all of these fly balls, you look at all these aren't exactly hit hard. I mean, you're seeing a bunch of things in the 90, 94, or 90 exit velocity, 90 miles an hour, 89, 94. They're just kind of lazy fly balls out into the outfield.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy could go back, spend a week hitting it where the third baseman is supposed to be in a normal standard alignment, and he'd have doubles for days because he's got enough speed that if he just chops ground balls down, not even right down the line, just where the third baseman normally would be, there's a lot of plays where he could end up on second base. You do that for a week or two, that defense is going to straighten up. Like, they're going to have to put people over there.
Yeah.
And he just hasn't. And I don't understand how someone with his good at bat to ball skills can't make that adjustment. It makes no sense. And he's playing, some people have mentioned, like, he's playing like the guy he's always been. You look at the percentages, they kind of line up with what he's always done, but
that's the problem.
Major League Baseball is going to adjust to you. It's on you to adjust back. If you ever want to be a great player, you have to adjust back. And he has not. He's been in the majors for 120 games. And I'm not sitting here saying, this guy should have figured out Major League pitching, because He shouldn't. I mean, it's a huge adjustment, just the level of stuff, but you've got to make the adjustments back and then force them to adjust back to you. And he just hasn't returned serve yet. Like, that's just as simple as it is.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it right there. I was going to say the game is all about it making adjustments. You know, whether you're a pitcher, whether you're a hitter, whether you're a defender, the game is all about adjusting. And like you said, clearly teams and their defensives have adjusted to his style and his tendencies and the scouting report on the guy. And like you mentioned, you're pointing it out right there. You see what the defense is given to you, make him pay for it. And yeah, like Mark said right here, he's, you know, he was one of the, if not the best player in Korea for a while. Like, he knows how to bunt for hits. He knows how to get on base. But for whatever reason, he's trying to get out of this funk by doing what he's always done. And someone's really got to pull him aside and say, hey, we got to mix it up. This is not working.
Yeah. And you know what? If he was hitting line drives at some like absurd 40% rate or something like that, and just peppering center field and right field, I'd be like, all right, man. Like, yeah, I'd occasionally love to see you drop a bunt down the third baseline just to try and make something happen, you know, especially they're down a run in the 5th or 6th inning, 7th inning, and a team's going to play him like that, especially if he's like leading off an inning. It's like, dude, just don't even get greedy. Drop a bunt down. Get on. We need the base runner. But it's just frustrating because he's not hitting line drives at some crazy rate. He's hitting them at a solid rate, but not enough to offset what he's doing elsewhere. And we've seen it. I mean, he's hitting like 200 since May 1st.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. So they need him to get going. That's something I want to see. KML says, and Burrell should be screaming in his ear. I mean,
someone should be screaming in Burrell's ear.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I don't know what Burrell's doing right now with this team. I've never seen so many hitters look so unprepared in the last couple of years. I mean, they just genuinely don't look like they have a plan. And I mean, I mentioned it yesterday. I mean, these guys, you can tell they want to pull in the air. I mean, I've said that how many times tonight, but you can tell that pitchers know that. They know they've got some length in their swings. They know they're trying to get it extended and pull something in the air. And just look at how they're pitching him. They're going hard on the hands and soft away.
I was just going to say that's what you've been saying, and that's what teams have been doing.
So, I mean, you got Willie's been better, obviously, the last couple of weeks, but I mean, we've watched Willie not be able to catch up to the up and in fastball and then swinging over the top of the down and away slider.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like all season. So it's been better. He's not chasing as much. And, you know, go figure, there's two guys that with any kind of relative consistency have either laid off the chase or been working out or, you know, working some favorable counts to get better pitches to hit. And then, oh, look, they drive the ball in the air and they're doing damage with that. And that's Ramos and Schmitt.
Yeah.
So that it's, and Ramos is one of the better players on the team in general going the other way. He has that power. So, I mean, for him, teams know they can't just, hey, let's leave one belt high over on the outside half. You know, he's not going to sit there and just chop this thing to the shortstop. He will hit one 107 miles an hour to right field and get a single, double, sometimes a triple, an oracle. Teams are aware of that. So he gets better pitches to hit and he does it. And then he does damage with them. Chapman, he'll go the opposite way. That's been a calling card for Chapman for a long time. He's got 12, 13 home runs before he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing damage because he would then get better pitches and do something with it. Obviously he has swing and miss, but it's just getting those pitches that you can do that damage with. And I bet you if Willie Adames starts going the other way with stuff, he's going to occasionally get some better pitches to hit that he can drive over the left field fence. So it's just, to me, it's fully an approach issue. I don't think it's an issue of talent on this team.
No.
I mean,
no, if with this team fully healthy, there's a lot of talent on it. You know, if everybody is right, core consisting of Jung Hoo Lee, Elliot Ramos, Matt Chapman, Willie Adames, and Casey Schmitt and Rafael Devers, like that's a good team. So to me, it's like it's a philosophical thing. I don't know what kind of philosophy they're preaching, what kind of approach they're trying to get these guys to do. They're having them watch a 94 mile per hour meatball right down the middle, and then swing at the 86 mile per hour slider that's in the freaking dirt. So it's like I don't know what the philosophy is, but see ball, hit ball.
Yeah,
that's really what it's got to be, and adjust to what the defense is giving you, adjust to what the pitcher's throwing at you. Like you mentioned with Lee, you see they're giving you third base. All right, I'm going to target that hole. Oh, defense is shifted to one direction. I'm going to lay a bunt right where they're not and try to get on. Oh, they're pitching me away. I'm going to just throw the bat head out and just try to get it past the infield and a little shallow bloop just to get on. So they've got to do something to mix it up, because like I keep saying, it's not sustainable. And Mark, he wasn't really a home run hitter. I'd say he averaged like 15 to 25. You could probably see, Cody.
I'd have to pull it up. I know he hit like 22 one year, but I think he was like maybe
he's like
10 most years.
Yeah, he's like a 15-ish on average home run hitter. He's got, decent pop. Obviously, we've seen it, but see ball and try to pull it as hard as he can out of the gun. Yeah, I don't get the approach, man.
It's frustrating, but we'll hop off of Burl for a second, and we'll turn our attention to the other issue with the coaching staff right now.
Yeah,
and that is the Marine over at third base, who, I mean, listen, everyone, I love Matt Williams, great Giant, had an awesome career, especially in San Francisco, but he might be like the worst third base coach I've ever witnessed. I feel like on about 3 or 4 different occasions this season, I have said that is possibly the worst send I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then he one-ups himself. I don't understand it. He'll not send when the situation, you can make an argument at least that the situation calls for it. He'll send when there's really not much added benefit to sending someone. The one that he did yesterday against Miami, it felt, I said on NorCal yesterday, it genuinely felt like either he didn't look at where the left fielder was positioned before the play, and or didn't even look at the guy as the play was developing.
Yeah.
Like it genuinely looked like he just goes, we have Jung Hoo Lee on second with good speed. He's going to get a good jump, and I'm going to just send him no matter what. And for Melvin to defend him, which, there's 2 ways you can look at that. Number one, he's not going to just go rip his coach to the media. I know a lot of people don't like it, but for him going like, oh, we're trying to win the game. It's like, come on, man. Like, yeah, you should be trying to win the game. And the answer to trying to win the game is probably, as much as he's not been great this season, it's letting Christian Koss go up there, who has good enough speed to at least make it difficult to double up, and has already hit a sac fly earlier in that game.
Yeah.
He's been taking some good hacks, and it's like, let him come up with a runner on third and 1 out, give him a shot, because they made a horrible throw to home plate, and
he was
still out by 15 feet. It was, it makes no sense, man. So I would love to see them shake up the team a little bit, or shake up the roles. I don't think Bomel or Posey really have the cojones to do it at midseason with this team 7 games over 500. But even if they stuck with Burl at the bare minimum, I would love to see them either kick Williams to first and move Hallberg to third, or kick Williams to just be like, hey, you're going to coach infield from now on. And Hallberg, you're still going to third. Like, I would love for them to at least change that up, because it's been a problem.
I think during the Kapler years, I think Posey actually had, vouched for Hallberg to be the third base coach. So,
yeah.
push comes to shove, you got another third base coach on the team. Albert can absolutely do it, but
I mean, to this point, Mark, I don't. The problem with this one, the line drive was right in front of Lee, so Lee got a good jump, but Lee's not looking into right or into left field. Like, he's got to be picking up, because that's going to slow you down. He's got to be picking up his third base coach on whether or not to go. If Lee ran through a stop sign or something, I mean, that changes everything. But
of course,
but they did not make it sound like Lee made that decision. They definitely made that sound like Matt sent him.
I've never seen a third base coach like overthink as much as Matt Williams does. I don't know. Maybe it's just because we were all spoiled with Bland for so long. Like, just top notch third base coach. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna get to a point where if you continue on this downward spiral, you're gonna have no choice but to shake things up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Hopefully they can get it all situated, because my God, I posted it. I loved Matt Williams as a player. He's a great forever Giant, but my God, he's an awful third base coach. Yeah. So,
I mean, there might be some truth to this.
Absolutely.
And that's like, Casey Schmitt the other night came up. I think he ended up grounding into a double play, but he got some really good hacks off in his last at bat, and everybody was like, "Oh, I wish he kind of would have like shortened up." There were a couple pitches where, I think he got count leverage, and then the pitcher left a couple, kind of out over the plate where they had left a big hole for him on the right side. And part of me was like, you could just poke one into right, keep the game, keep the line moving. But then you realize he's got Bailey and Koss sitting behind him.
Yeah.
It was like, you know what? I'm good with you just trying to tie this game now, because we don't exactly have a lot of faith in what's to come behind you. But let's talk a little bit. I mean, Koss had a good game. He had kind of consecutive solid games, at least, with the exception of him inexplicably trying to run into Dom Smith and stealing a ball from Dom Smith.
That pissed me off as an infielder. Oh my God.
Oh, that was terrible. But I mean, Koss had a couple good games. They've brought Wisely up. Luckily, it seems like they might have dodged a bullet with Schmitt. But you kind of look. I mean, Fitzgerald's down in sack. He can't come up for, I think, 7 more days, unless there's an injury. So that was something to monitor with Schmitt. If he hit the IL, then they could pull him back. But I mean, I kind of wonder, like, are they going to try and make a move? Are they going to try and shake it up a little bit and not necessarily get a starter, but get somebody as depth? Are they going to try and get, we keep bringing up Kiner Falefa, but someone of that caliber player.
I think, and you kind of mentioned it earlier when we were talking privately, if you're going to make a move like that, it increases the floor and improves the floor of this team. It gets you that solid depth, because I know going into today, I mean, luckily the bottom of the order turned out to be pretty productive. But going into today, we're like, oh God, we got Wisely and Koss in the same lineup. Like, you would want an upgrade over that in a crunch in a moment where 2 of your starters are down. So, yeah, Tom, it very well could be shake up time if these mental errors continue and the spiral continues. But the thing is, like, who are you going to get? Who's going to be available? Like, what position can you upgrade if you want to go after a starter? So there's there's a lot of unknowns as far as what's going to be out there and what's going to be a need, whether you just want to simply upgrade your depth and your bench, whether you want to upgrade your rotation or your pen, or whether you want to actually go out and make a splash. San Francisco already made the splash trade of the deadline by bringing in Rafi. So now it kind of just comes down to, so what's next? What are you going to do? So yeah, there's a few ways you can go about it. If it was me personally, I would maybe look into upgrading the starting pitching, whether you're going to go internal or external. I'm not thrilled with what Verlander's given you. You haven't
Yeah.
really won with him being on the mound. I can see there's a scenario where they might consider putting Root back in the pen, especially when he's kind of getting taxed with innings up there. I can see a situation where you've had your hiccups with Ryan Walker and Sean Jelly in the pen. Like maybe you'd want to solidify that. Yes, you've had the best bullpen in the league, but maybe you want to solidify it even more so. Maybe you want to go out and upgrade, right field or bring in an actual backup catcher. Like there's a few ways that you can kind of go about it. So it's going to be interesting to see how the next few weeks play out.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that we're going to see 2 or 3 like small moves. Like I don't think, like you said, to raise the floor a little bit. Like I don't think, Ricky brought up this point. Ricky was not able to join tonight, but they, you look at the lineup they trot out like once a series, and it's ugly. Like you have a lot of games, and today's game notwithstanding, because a lot of it was injury related today, but they've had a lot of games where they're trotting out. I mean, Kisner and Bailey are just kind of a black hole at the plate, but they're trotting out them. They're trotting out Christian Koss or a Brett Wisely, and they have Daniel Johnson in the lineup, and you look at the lineup and you're like, dude, like 3 of these guys or 2 or 3 of these guys are just not major league hitters. And at the very minimum, you can go get a Darno or a Kiner Falefa. We just like those are the reason we use those examples, guys, is just because their teams are kind of crappy and they fit. As there's more clarity on who might be shopping players, we'll expand that a bit. But if you get a couple guys like that, I mean, at least it's a little bit more respectable offense at those positions. Just they're not great, they're not difference makers, but they're also not just black holes. And that's it's like the upgrade you saw with Dom Smith. I mean, admittedly, he was playing well, but when you go from Wade and what he was giving you to like anything that's average or better, it's like, oh my God, we just hit the jackpot. And really, It's like, no, you just don't have a giant black hole in your lineup anymore. That's really all it is. So
yeah, like I said, it's all about just raising the floor, which I think that should be the priority. Nathan, the Marlins team was nasty. Wasn't expecting that. Because put up a good fight all 3 games. They still got his Ricky's a drunk.
Ricky's catching strays. He's not even here. You know what? I will say this about the guy that threw yesterday, Cabrera.
He was good. I'm not gonna lie. He had good stuff.
You know what? As much as I bag on the offense for a lot of games this season where they've faced guys like Tyler Anderson and they can't get him, or they face some no name from whatever team, and I'm able to predict the night before that they're going to score 1 run over however many innings. And it's like they've had so many of these outings where the offense is just genuinely up there with a terrible approach. And then sometimes you run into a guy like the guy yesterday where he's throwing 100 with a 96 mile an hour changeup and some disgusting slider curveball combination, and he's painting all of his pitches. And it's like, they hung 2 on him in 6 innings or whatever. And frankly, that's about as good as you could hope. Cause I mean, that guy was like throwing 100 and had Greg Maddux command for a game. I mean, that was probably the best command he had all season. So sometimes you just run into a buzzsaw. That happens. And those guys did throw the ball pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, give respect and give credit where it's due. That guy last night, I think I pointed out to you, I was like, he threw a 96 mile per hour changeup. Like, that was disgusting. But again, the game's all about adjustments. You got to adjust to what the pitcher's giving you.
Yeah. Rick, I don't necessarily think he's gassed. He's only at 56 innings. He threw 130 last season. And he was, I mean, they had to slow ramp him up, but because they put him in the pen, which part of why I hate that is because he's not as, he wasn't as stretched out when he came over. But
yeah,
I mean, today he still had the stuff. If you watch the velo dropping, he just never had his command at any point in this game. And I mean, Kruko kept mentioning the adrenaline and all that. Who knows? But he has struggled to command his off speed in particular. So a lot of hitters are just looking for fastballs and hangers up, and he's not, and when they get it, they hit it 440 feet or whatever it was. And I mean, good God, the pimp job that whoever that was, Gonzalez or whoever their DH. I mean,
I couldn't even hate on it.
if you're gonna hit one almost to the Coke bottle, you can kind of do whatever you want coming out of the box, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it was crushed. Even that one that they hit over the right center, that was crushed too. I was like, who are these guys?
Dowers or Stowers
Yeah,
or whatever.
Stower.
I know a lot of people want to see the Giants trade for him. I'm not sure they would. I'm not sure Miami's going to move him. I would have to look at his contract situation.
Mm-hmm.
They have some talent. Like, I mean,
they do.
They're not, they obviously the record doesn't show, but I'm kind of curious if they're really going to just like full on sell, other than maybe guys like Otto Lopez. But they have some guys that look like they could be, dudes.
It's still a team that you shouldn't get swept by or even lose a series to. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not excusing the Giants' performance. No. I just was like, yeah, they're a little better than their record shows probably, but or more talented at least.
No, that's
pretty ugly. But looking ahead, the Giants do have, before that chat, I think Mark mentioned the All-Star break. You got Chicago next. Can't sleep on them. I mean, as bad as they are, you just lost this. You got swept by the Marlins. You can't sleep on them. You get Arizona, whose pitching staff is in shambles, but they're going to score probably. Mm-hmm. So, and the Giants have not played them well at all this season. So you've got Arizona after that, and then you get the Athletics in Sacramento, where it's just the ball's popping. So you better be ready in that series as well. And then I think you get LA right after, and then the All-Star break.
Yep.
There might be another series in there. I might be forgetting a series.
I think there might be another short one, but that you got
the Phillies or something like that.
One of those weird teams. Let me see. It'll be, I got it right here. So they got Chicago up next, Arizona Athletics. Yeah, Phillies for a 3-game, and then LA before the All-Star game.
Yeah. So that's what, 15 games, 16 games, 5 series, because one of them's a 4-game. Yeah,
4
16
games. 3 games, 3. Yep.
Yeah, 16 games. I mean, you better you better show up, and you better make hay against at least Chicago and the A's, because you just they haven't played the Diamondbacks well, and then you got the Dodgers and Phillies. The Phillies, okay, now the Phillies have been really bad in Oracle Park for years. So there's always a chance the Giants take like 2 or 3 in that series.
It'd be nice to get at least 2.
Yeah, but also it wouldn't shock me if they lost that series either. So hopefully they can take that one. Hopefully they can. I mean, I would love to see them at least sweep one of the White Sox and A's. I mean, if they can go 5-1 in those games, that would be pretty ideal given the rest of those series. And then you're in pretty decent shape. And then, at the All-Star break, you can start really, I think there'll be more clarity. Mark mentioned some of the teams that haven't fallen out of the wild card race. This is the big drawback to the third wild card. You get less sellers because more teams just feel like they're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of why I hate it. I mean, I thought the quality of baseball was at its best when there was only one wild card team.
I agree.
But I get why they added a second.
Yeah.
I don't like that they added a third. Like I get the second. I would have loved it to be a second with a 3-game series.
I would have loved it that.
Yeah, I would have expanded it to a 3-game series instead of getting a third and then doing, 2 3-round or whatever, the third division winner or whatever it was, and 4 teams playing those 3-game series. I would have just left it at 2 with a 3-game series.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I wasn't a fan of the change, but
No, it makes
maybe
the
we're just
deadline
old.
boring.
Maybe we're just old school, Cody. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're just getting old.
Yeah. I think a lot of people read our takes and they just assume we're like 50. What do
Yeah,
you mean
I
you
know.
don't like analytics?
Yeah, I know. I remember reading a post on X when somebody was hating on us, and they're like, "You got Ricky." They literally said this. They're like, "That Ricky dude's like 25, and the other guys are in their 30s." I was like, "Bro, I'm the youngest one. What do you mean?"
I mean, I am in my 30s. So thanks,
You're young,
Dan.
you're young at heart, Cody.
Yeah. Oh man. Um,
What's up
here's
with Seymour
actually a
getting
good one.
scratched? I don't know.
No
I
word yet.
I think Taxi Squad, just because the pen's a little gassed. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, and we brought up Roop earlier. This is actually kind of an interesting one. By scratching him today, uh he would be ready for his whatever start if they want to use him as a starter in one of these games. Roop isn't scheduled to go, I believe, until Saturday because he pitched the last game against Boston, so his spot would probably be Saturday. Um, I kind of wonder if they want to do some load management.
I mean, Roop's scheduled
Could
tomorrow.
they have him in tomorrow's game?
They do.
Oh, you know what? Didn't Rob? I was wrong. Robbie
Yeah,
went.
Robbie's on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Robbie was the last game of the Boston series. I had him and Roop flipped. Okay, so Roop's scheduled to go tomorrow. I kind of wonder. I don't think it's an injury because I feel like that would have probably already came out unless he got like sick or something. But I kind of wonder if this is a load management thing where they're just like, you know what, we're gonna skip a start or two starts with Roop. Maybe put him in the pen, just give him let him come out of the pen for one game for 2 innings or something,
Yeah.
and just get a couple starts, let him reset a little bit because I mean, he's thrown the ball really well, but he is at 76 innings and he's thrown about as many as he did last year. I think he threw 76 and 2/3 last season, and his career high in the minors was 107. So
He's getting close. Yeah.
I don't see, even if you want to be generous, I think teams or players can go up, 20, 30 innings maybe over their career high when they're in the lower numbers there. But I don't know how confident you can be that he's going to give you 130 good innings. Is he going to be a bit Hicks-esque where he just runs into a wall at 80 or 90 innings? And you're just kind of like, okay, I mean, you're giving us innings, but they're not really good innings. It's definitely something I'd be concerned with. And to your point, that's why it makes sense to look at getting another veteran starter.
Yeah.
I mean, if Verlander was giving you good innings, you probably wouldn't care. You just say, all right, well, we got Verlander, Ray, and Webb, and between the other young guys, we'll fill out the last two spots. But you're not getting it out of Verlander right now, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I could see them making a move for. Plus, I mean, Seymour's already on the 40, and Ricky mentioned it earlier today, and we've been saying it. The obvious corresponding move is just to send down Jelly. I mean, he's not pitched great. He had one good inning since he's been up. So yeah, I think the load management idea is a good plan just to keep Roop fresh, especially since you have, like you mentioned with Verlander being a little iffy. You need that stability in the middle of your rotation. So I think it'd be a good idea to give him, a day off and push back his start a little bit, get Seymour a taste in the big leagues. And then, once Roop is, brought back into the rotation, you can still have Seymour in your pen. You can kind of go at it a few different ways. So it's interesting to see what happens. I mean, I hope there's not an injury with Seymour, but I would be intrigued by giving him an opportunity just kind of based off of what you've been seeing lately.
Yeah. And Seymour has been throwing the ball the best of the players in Sacramento.
Yeah, that's what you said earlier.
Wizenhunt had the best. Well, actually, Seymour had like the best start, and then he kind of hit a rough patch in the middle there. And Wisenhunt just kind of kept dealing. And, about the time that we were talking about getting Hicks out of the rotation, and then Verlander was getting hurt. Wisenhunt was in the middle of making like 4 straight 7-inning starts.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this guy's kind of looking like he might have turned a corner. Might be time. And since then, he's had some good, he's had some bad. A lot more bad than good in the last 4 or 5 starts for him, and Seymour's actually been throwing it really, really well. So as it currently stands, Seymour is throwing the ball better. So, and he's on the 40 man. So if they do need somebody to fill in, it makes more sense to roll with Seymour right now. Now, as for his stuff, I mean, he throws it hard. He's got a mid to 95 to 97 sink. He'll cut the ball a little bit. Decent curveball slider. He has better stuff than it feels like he doesn't miss enough bats for how good his stuff can be. I do feel like part of that is just change in mindset for him. He struggled with walks and inconsistency last season. This season, he's been a little more attacking. He's been trying to like challenge hitters, and he gets a lot of weak contact, which I actually like. He'll throw a lot of like 97 on the hands. And run it in on guys or cut it in on lefties, and it's kind of a little old school. I mean, it's a little bit of like, here's 96, 97, do something with it. And he's had success. Now, you get to the majors, is that going to work against Shohei Ohtani? I mean, I don't know, or Freddie Freeman, but as of right now, I just like his style a little bit, and I think he could come in. He's built up to 95 to 100 pitches. They've been pretty consistently letting him go deep in games. I wouldn't mind seeing it for a start or two just to get Roop a little bit of a breather.
What do you think his ceiling is as a big leaguer?
Probably like a 4 or 5 starter at best. I don't think he's a guy that's going to go in and like dominate or anything. I think his good starts, maybe he gives you a handful of starts, and like if he was starting 32 games in a season, maybe he gives you a couple starts where he goes like 6 and gives up a run or anything like that. Like I don't think he's like a dominant starter or anything like that. And I don't think he has that kind of upside. He doesn't have an elite pitch that's like an elite get someone out pitch. Carson Wisenhunt has his changeup that he can tell people that he's going to do it or he's going to throw it, and they still don't hit it. Yeah. I mean, Kyle Harrison has his fastball that he throws at the top of the zone. Birdsong's got like 2 or 3 pitches that when he commands them, he can just throw it. Guys don't touch it, but command's obviously an issue there. So I back end starter probably.
So he feels a need.
Yeah. This is true too.
That is true.
Roger was talking about how big he was on our interview the other day. He was like, all he does is the carnivore diet or whatever. Like all he does is eat meat.
He's a real caveman.
Yeah. It's hilarious.
But it'd be cool to see what happens. I mean, hopefully we get some news tomorrow.
Yeah.
Why is Seymour on the 40? Roll 5, correct, buddy?
Yeah, they were protecting him. They added him and Ragsdale and someone else, drawing a blank on who the third was. But they added 3 of them to the 40 before the season.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to protect him. So, yeah. Carson, I think, will have to get added this offseason.
Correct.
So.
And like we've talked about, there's about 3 guys on the 40 right now you can do without and replace them.
I found 3 pitchers. Earlier when we were talking about that, I was like, yeah, they've really got this better than it was last season, where for those of you that do remember that live show, we went through at one point and went, I think someone brought up like, we'd have to make a 40-man move for this. And I'm like, trust me, I can find you.
We pulled up the 40 man. Yeah, we pulled it up and we're just going down the list. We're like, this guy, keep or cut. We just made our own predictions.
Yeah, I mean, my three: Sean Jelly,
Yeah.
Keaton Wynn,
Mm-hmm.
and there was one more on there.
Joey Lucchesi.
Like LaCasey. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I didn't. I could care less on any of those three guys. And Ragsdale and Black
Borderline.
are those guys are a little different because I think they still have value in a trade. So if you were gonna you wouldn't just outright cut those guys. You would trade them for probably like a prospect in a lower level or something like that. So there are a lot of guys on the 40 man that I'd happily just be like, yeah, it's just bye bye. So it wouldn't be a big deal if they needed to.
Yeah, it's doable if you need it, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out. I mean, I hope we get some sort of update. The MILB is awful about updating anything for players. Hopefully, we figure something out. You're not kidding. You're not kidding, Mark. Yeah.
How wild? Okay. On a side note, this is obviously like 10 days old at this point, but how wild is it that this guy got onto a major league team and nobody knew until he was warming up in the bullpen in a game?
I was so confused.
None of everybody's like, there's a lefty warming up in the pen, and like you're getting beat writers like messaging each other, like sending out tweets going, well, I just confirmed that's Joey LaCasey out there. No one had any clue because the Devers move happened. Nobody even thought about what's the corresponding move with that. Everyone probably just assumed like, oh, they yanked Harrison out, and we're rolling with 12 pitchers on the staff for today or whatever. Like, I just thought that was so funny that this guy just like shows up to Dodger Stadium and no one has a single clue that he's even there.
Yeah, there wasn't a peep about it, bro. I had to check the transaction log. I was like, what? When did this happen?
Did it even show in the transaction log? Because usually they catch that stuff.
It did. That's why I was like, I guess everyone was just distracted. Nobody's noticed.
Yeah.
Or they just announced it at the very last second. But yeah, that was a trip.
Yeah. I mean, it was like 20 minutes. So, I mean, the crazy thing to me is like, can you imagine? Because, I mean, obviously LA, it's not that far, but the trade didn't happen until 20 minutes before first pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine being like Buster and Zach and those guys, and you're like calling the Sacramento manager, and you're just like, hey, you're going to need to send Joey up here, down here to LA. There might be something brewing.
Imagine being on that end. Just be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, Joey, you may or may not be playing in the bigs. I don't know. You're going to go hang around the yard.
Just go to Dodger Stadium, figure it out.
Yeah. That's just hilarious. I'm on the team, I swear, officer.
Like, what's your name? Joey Lucchesi. Never heard of you.
Yeah. You pasta dish.
Pasta dish.
Yeah, he was
working in Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah. But all right, that's all. I mean, we didn't have a ton of topics today. I mean, unfortunately, it's a lot of the same week to week. I mean, the offense has just been having problems. Yeah. A few different things that are kind of out there we're keeping an eye on. As the trade deadline gets closer, we'll have a lot to talk about there. If you guys have anything you guys want us to bring up and talk about, go ahead and shoot it in there. I know Dan's going to have to probably run here soon. I can always hang out and answer some questions if you guys have some stuff for us, or we'll just, we'll keep it a short one today.
Yeah. I just got back from vacation about an hour and a half ago, maybe 30 minutes before we went live. So yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty drained, but I'll hang out and answer some questions for a bit. We kind of plan on this being a little shorter episode just because, I mean, you're coming off a sweep and there hasn't been any breaking news really over the last week. Yeah. There's really no rumors. You just got, an abysmal offense and Matt Williams sending runners when he doesn't know how to. So that's really what there is to talk about. So
what do you guys think happens with Luciano trades?
I think he gets traded.
Yeah. I don't know when. It might be
off season
deadline. It might be off season. I will never rule out a player getting a shot and forcing the issue, but the clock's ticking. Like his window is getting pretty short, so I don't see that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think he's just blocked at this point.
Where would you guys put the Bond statue? I saw an interesting one.
Was it the Cove idea?
Oh yeah, that would be funny. Just put one out in the Cove like it's the freaking Statue of Liberty.
That'd be sick.
Make it like so tall that it's visible from this inside the stadium. No, the one I heard, maybe it was like Giants Dave on X. He was like, "Hey, let's move the fences in even further in right center. Let's just do what the Yankees do. Put like a little monument park out there. Slap that statue in there.
I'd be down.
Out by where the 756 went.
I would be down for that. Realistically, I think they put it out front with the rest of them. But
yeah. I mean, they've spaced them out a bit. I feel like, I get it's McCovey Cove. Like I understand that they put the McCovey statue on the other side. It would almost be appropriate though to put Bonds' statue over by the Cove, given the just sheer quantity of balls he hit out there.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's a tough one. I do like the idea of putting a statue in the Cove, but it's honestly not realistic given how deep it is. I think it's like 30 feet deep right there, so it's definitely not realistic. But the idea and concept is cool. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I do wonder what it's going to be. I think it has to be one of the two from one of the two iconic shots from when he hit the 756, whether it's the bat drop or whether it's the hands up. It's got to be one of those two.
Mark says put it in front of Balco. That'd be hilarious.
That would be.
Likelihood of another trade at the deadline for more offense, in our opinion.
We kind of touched on that earlier. I think maybe another one or two smaller deals for like I said, somebody that like a guy or two that increase the floor and depth of your team. Any splash trades though, I can't really see it. Maybe a starter.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, for more offense, are they going to go trade for an actual like starting everyday player? I doubt it. I don't think that's going to happen. You're really limited on where you could realistically upgrade. And this is where their hands are kind of tied right now. They're unless they're going to uncommit to guys like Flores and Yaz for the season, they're kind of tight. I mean, Yaz obviously leads the team in RBIs, or not Yaz, sorry. Flores leads the team in RBIs. Yaz has been probably a little better than you expected this season. The power isn't as good as it's been in the past, but this kind of has been who he's been for the last few years. I mean, he hit, I think, 18 last season, but 7 of them came the last like 3 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. He's been around a 15 homer-ish guy, it feels like, for a couple of years now. So unless the team is going to say, no, we want an everyday right fielder and we're going to just either kick him to the bench or move on entirely, I don't really know where you can do it. You can make a case for second base if you wanted to go get a guy like Bo Bichette or, the Brandon Lowe's out there. Now, what I would say about Brandon Lowe is that guy is terrible defensively. I would not go that route. That's me personally. But, I mean, he can hit. So if you want to go like that route, but then it turns into what do you do with Casey Schmitt? Like, unless you're going to either send him as part of the package or send him elsewhere. But in which case, I'd look at that and question the logic behind that, because Casey Schmidt's cheap. He's got 4 more years of control after the season. And if what he's doing is even, obviously he's not going to hit 400, but if he can be a sustainable 270 hitter plus defender with 20 plus homer power, I mean, you're looking at a top 5 to 10 second baseman in baseball. It's a watered down position. So I don't know if you could really upgrade there, or at least definitively upgrade at second base. And then the only other spot really that the out of, the kind of sort of under the radar thing they could do if they really want to upgrade the offense would be a catcher. But does Buster have the cojones to go get kind of an unproven catcher or trade for a Sean Murphy type or something like that and hope to get much more offensive production there and sacrifice something with the glove? So they're really limited to like 3 spots that they might be able to upgrade like their everyday offense. That's why I really have harped on it the last few weeks. It sucks to say this, but really, especially since they got Devers, the reality is for this offense to be better, players just got to play better. You got everyday players that are just not playing to their potential. It's pretty simple. So you can make some moves that are small that help the offense, like specifically, I think against left-handed pitching. If you go get like a Darno or a Kiner Falefa, they can help you against lefties. Darno has like over 1,000 OPS on the season, small sample size, but he's in his career, he's hit lefties really well. You can go get a guy like that, and at least against lefties where you've just been putrid, you might be able to kind of raise your performance a little bit. Casey hits lefties generally pretty well. He killed him last season. This year, it's been a little down from that. I expect it to get better. Ramos obviously is one of the better lefty hitters in baseball. If you can get a couple other guys that hit him well, it might help you out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's more realistic. Or, they could have just listened to me and signed Darno in the offseason.
Yeah.
Would have solved a lot of problems, but.
Yeah. I think the other spot for the outfield you could do is get a right-handed outfielder to pair with Yaz. Again, it's not a big move. It's just, I'm not going to say Austin Slater because I don't care if he's the only right-handed bat on earth. I wouldn't trade for that guy to bring back. But, what Slater was in 2020, 2021 or whatever, that time frame, 2022, he was pretty solid too. But like what he was back then, that might be something they're kind of looking for right now.
He struck out 5 times like a week and a half ago.
I know.
5 times in one game, bro.
Platinum sombrero.
Yeah, that's awful. I don't know. If Luis Robert's available for cheap, I would entertain that.
Yeah. I mean, I made the joke earlier today that they would trade for him and then he'd pull a hamstring walking to the other clubhouse and miss the first 6 weeks.
That's the only concern with him, but that's the reason you might be able to get it for cheaper than.
I don't know if it's the only concern with him because
he hasn't been good this year.
Looked at his numbers.
He hasn't been good, bro, but the talent is undeniable.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting $185 right now. He's got 8 home runs. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure all 8 of those home runs were absolutely majestic, but
yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. I would be more, all things being equal, the Hall, because I think you'd still have to pay a decent chunk for Robert, even with the year he's having. I don't think the White Sox would just give him away. All things being equal, would you rather trade right now for Luis Robert Jr. or would you rather trade for Brian Reynolds?
See, it's tough because Brian Reynolds would undeniably be cheaper, and he's historically like a plus defender. And he'd probably be a really good compliment.
He's been bad the last couple of years, though. Robert's a way better defender.
Defensively, yeah, but I'm just saying historically he's been good. It's tough. Robert does bring speed, which would be nice, and he's got just insane pop.
He has 22 stolen bags right now.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. So,
to James's point here, he said, does it matter that players come to SF and have the worst year they've ever had? Hey, maybe Robert can't get any worse.
You can only go up.
So hey, maybe the goal is you trade for horrible players and see them shoot back up.
Chapman had one of the best years of his career, his first year with the Giants.
Yeah. I don't think this necessarily on track. Reynolds is a switch hitter, and historically he's hit for a better average. His batted ball metrics kind of scream a guy that should see positive regression, but I would be more inclined to do that deal if the defense and everything was still really good. If he was helping teams in other aspects, I'd probably be more inclined.
Eddie says Bailey will teach Robert how to bunt.
They should just have him hang out with Fitz. It's about the only thing Fitz was doing for the last week he was here.
It's the only thing Bailey's done all year. Cole, yeah, we kind of touched on that earlier. It wouldn't be a bad idea to look into a starting pitcher. IKF, Willie Castro, Adonis Garcia. I've seen IKF's name pop up a lot. Apparently the Giants are interested in him.
Which means they either really are interested or they just floated that out there and they have absolutely zero.
Well, I think it was Bob Nightingale who reported that they were interested in IKF, and he was the same one who reported that the Giants were interested in Devers. So, there seems to be some legitimacy there.
It's not Heyman, at least.
Yeah, as long as it's not Heyman, it's somewhat believable. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't mind an IKF deal if you can get him for cheap. I mean, it's like I've been saying. I mean, he's more of like a utility guy with a plus glove, and he could raise the floor on your team.
Yeah.
Canosio will save us.
I will say this. For how long we were like, okay, Encarnacion could not possibly be worse than what we've been getting out of Lamont Wade Jr.
We were wrong.
They brought him up and he gave some of the worst at bats I've seen all year, and then also dropped like a 50-mile-an-hour ball right at his chest. It was like, all right, we'll eat that one. We were wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I was big on him just because he had a little sparks here and there at the end of last season, and then in the spring he was the best hitter, and for whatever reason he just forgot how to hit.
I would bet $100,000 on my left nut that Buster Posey could come out of retirement, play the second half with 0 reps or rehab games, and hit for a higher average in OPS than Patrick Bailey did in the first half.
I would bet my life savings on that.
This guy could have not touched a bat since he retired 3 years ago, and I would bet my money that he would out hit Bailey in the second half. Garcia is an interesting one though, that for whoever brought that up. He is kind of like what I was talking about with Reynolds, where a lot of the batted ball metrics think he should be hitting a little better than he has, and he is producing with the glove.
Yeah.
So it's like he would be an interesting one to stick in right field. I mean, I do remember he's got like an absolute ridiculous arm. That I do remember. Mm-hmm. And he's got a good glove. And he can run a little bit. 7 stolen bases on the season, so he's on pace for almost 15. Swings at everything though. He's a giant.
He's a giant. You'll fit right in.
Yeah. So
you can see the buyers and who are the sellers. Yeah, well, I mean, over the next, I think you can do a left-handed. Yeah, you're not wrong. I think over the next 10 days, Mark, you'll start to see, or Tom, you'll start to see who the buyers and sellers are.
Yeah.
Way to go on a limb.
Yeah, I know, Mark. That was a bold take by me, I'm sure. Yeah. No, I mean, you're right, Cole. He does.
Yeah. I just don't know where it's at. I haven't heard anything about him as far as his rehab is concerned. So,
yeah. How many stolen bases does Kiner Falefa have this year? Just out of curiosity.
It's a good question.
9.
Respectable.
Yeah, I mean, he could push 20 on the year.
Yeah.
Gets on base a little bit. I mean, yeah, he just doesn't hit for any kind of power, but he can hit a little bit. Like, I'll take singles and speed, especially if your guy's hitting like 8th or 9th. Like, I will take that.
IKF is like who I want Fitz to be.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example there. What about Meckler? Dude, have you seen Meckler's metrics on the season so far? Look up his splits, his little savant bait. It's ugly.
Meckler? I don't think they pull him.
Look, I saw
Yes.
look at our group chat. It's
Did someone
similar.
pull it up?
Yeah, it's similar to what Savant posts as far as all of their metrics in
Okay.
particular. Look at the group chat and look at Meckler's.
Did someone post it recently? Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of blue.
Oh, boy.
There's a lot of blue.
Oh, this is just his offensive profile, though.
No, yeah. Doesn't have his defense, but
He's
his
a 40 grade field. Like, that's what you guys need to know. Like,
yeah.
and that is earned. Like, I watch a lot of Sacramento, like the last couple of years, especially. And I mean, I do watch the other levels quite a bit, especially Richmond, as painful as it's been, because they're, often the standalone game because they're on the East Coast. And I there's a reason why I've consistently been like, they got to move this guy to a different position because he cannot play the outfield. He's so bad in the outfield.
I mean, even when he played the infield, you saw that throw that he made.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a great arm. He looked somewhat comfortable fielding the ball. I think it was, that throw, I think it was more of a footwork issue, honestly. Like, he just didn't get set towards the bag. Like, he kind of, he fielded it, and then when he like kind of turned towards first, he still had his like feet kind of lined up towards the dugout, and that's about where the throw went. So I don't know. I mean, it could have been. I mean, this is an interesting thing. DH him, let Wilmer have first. But I mean, you got Devers. Yeah, like where are we playing Devers? Because you can't not play Devers. So I mean, that's going to be the, Wilmer. You could DH him some. I mean, I don't hate Meckler as a bench player, as a pinch hit option, as a spot start in a DH if you just were like, hey, we like the matchup or something. But it's hard to be a bench player in the majors if you're not playable at any position.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not like a guy that's going to hit it over someone's head. Like if you're a just contact guy, no power, I don't know how you can really be on a roster if that's all you do. Like you can't, unless you're a Luis Arias and you're hitting like 350, like you can't really do it.
Nope.
Now that said, as much crap as I've given Wade Meckler, if he saw defensive alignments like Jung Hoo Lee has, he'd hit like 330.
Yeah, he's got decent back control. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Since we just talked about Devers, you know what's crazy? That absolute mammoth shot of a missile that Devers hit today, it would have been out in 29 out of 30 parks. There's one ballpark that would have kept that moonshot in. Can you guess which one it was? Not Boston.
It's not Boston. The Polo Grounds?
It's gonna blow your mind. You want another guess, or I'm gonna tell you?
Yeah, here, let me think about the parks really quick. Like I feel
Mind you, this was a 438 moonshot to center field.
I mean, would it have like hit the ceiling of the Trop or something? Like
Coors Field, bro. No. Coors Field would have kept that one in.
Shit. Because, and you know why it wouldn't have kept it in? Because at Coors Field, that ball goes 480. So they're like, oh yeah, by the distance it doesn't go. Yeah, okay, guys.
Yeah, but that a little bit of elevation. Yeah, Adi, you're right. It was Coors. Coors Field keeps it in.
I wasn't thinking that they were going to take it literally based off distance. I thought there was going to be at least some kind of distance.
I wish there was a way. Yeah, I wish there was a way to do that, but not just going based off of launch angle trajectory. It's held in by Coors, which is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are they predicting in one stadium? They hit a seagull or something. Like, there's no way that ball's not going. Just Pedro Serrano it.
Serrano it, or they're projecting if Mercury will be in retrograde, or
when
the
I don't know, man. Like it's
it's a crazy fun fact for you guys.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, see, exactly. This is
yeah.
I mean, Willie Adames hit a couple balls like 440 feet at Coors Field. Like, take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Well, I think we've kind of covered everything. If you guys think of any other questions, anything else you want to shoot our way, either you can always send it to us in the X. You can send it to us in the comments. I know I try and answer almost all the comments that I see on there. Whether I agree, disagree, whatever, I appreciate you guys, all the interaction you guys do on the show. Other than that, I possibly going to be live tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be on here or on another channel. I can't really say who, because I got to make sure. I haven't confirmed today with that, but I do believe I'll be going live again tomorrow.
It's a good one, guys. It's a really good one. Make sure you follow him on X too.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one. But we have the one thing I'm going to shout out really quick. I don't often push past videos. I'll usually just be like, hey, we got something coming up for you guys to keep your eye out for. But I would highly recommend anybody that enjoys listening to the Giants like farm system, anything like that, like learning about all that. I would highly, highly recommend going and check out that Roger Munner interview from earlier in the week.
It's a really good one.
He knows his stuff. I mean, I thought that was immediately like top 2 or 3 video that we posted. So like it was really, really good one. So for those of you that enjoy it, make sure you go check that one out. Check out Roger's stuff. He was awesome. Hopefully we will be able to get him back. I was, Ricky and I were talking. I'm hoping we can maybe get him back in the off season, after they draft, the draft will be in a couple weeks, but after he's gotten, had a chance to go see some of the new draft picks and everything like that, I'd love to get him back in the off season. So we'll hopefully be able to do that again.
Yeah. I want to talk to him when I'm not in Universal at Harry Potter land. So
yeah,
I want to chat it up with dude.
I told him that you were getting fitted for a wand, and that's why you weren't there.
Yeah, that was pretty accurate. I was having my butterbeer over there.
That's awesome. But I appreciate you guys. Tom, you know what? Here, last thing I'll throw in here. Might be striking out, thinking it'll be more productive consistently than Yaz. I don't know if he'd be more productive, but I think he could bring a different element if he can just get the ball in play. Yeah. I think he'd provide similar power output, a lower average and on base, but do more to create runs potentially, but he can't strike out 40% of the time. That's the key.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think that'll be it for tonight. Appreciate you guys. And once I have tomorrow confirmed, I'll shoot something in X. So keep an eye on there. And we'll catch you next time.
All right, guys. Go Giants. Let's go beat Chicago, please. I can't take another loss.
No,
no more losing the trash teams. Thank you.
I'm going to be playing the wedding singer gif on loop. Somebody please kill. We lose to Chicago. All right. Go Giants, everybody. You have a good one.